Okay, it's about 7 p.m. Pacific time on May 1st, and I am home from the May Day protest at Pioneer Square. And I should say, it's not the only May Day protest in the Portland metro area. There were events all over the place starting at noon and going all the way until about right now. In fact, my husband is still at the teachers' protest, one of multiple teachers' protests. So the event that I went to was downtown at Pioneer Courthouse Square. It was hosted by 5051 Portland and multiple indivisible chapters from the Portland metro area. I thought I would just give you a really quick recap of how I thought it went. I took the Max downtown. That's sort of my favorite way to attend protests right now. Well, in general, just to get downtown. It's quick and easy, and then I don't have to fight rush hour traffic to get back. I got there early because of the Max schedule, and by the time I arrived, I counted over 500 people. That was maybe 30 minutes before we started, and it's really interesting. The last 5 to 7 minutes before the event began, I would say at least 500 more people came pouring in. Lots of folks get there at the very last second, and then after the event started, people continued to stream in. From my vantage point, I couldn't really see around the corner to get an accurate head count, and I stopped when I got to about 1,000, but it was definitely more than that. Again, this event was happening at the same time that multiple events hosted by multiple unions were happening around the city as well. So I don't really have a good, accurate count of how many people turned out overall across all of the events in Portland today, but it's thousands. And don't forget that there are more May Day protests happening on Saturday. Today was just for people who were able to cut off work early, right? Could you get off work for the ones at noon? Could you cut off a half hour, an hour early and come to the one that started at 4:30? The idea is to withhold your labor a little bit, get people interested, accustomed to the idea of the fact that our labor is power, and that one of the ways we exercise our power as the people is by withholding our labor from the economy. Hang on a second, I want to show you something that's making a lot of noise behind me. Hang on. I don't know if you can see this male robin up here. He is determined to put on a show, so sorry if he's noisy. This is an akebia vine, obviously wind chime. As long as I've got the camera flipped around, this is my view while I'm filming. This is my rain garden here. This is a valerian plant, fringe cup. This is part of my orchard around the perimeter of the property, back that way and down that way, and then annual veggie garden in here. I'm not going to spend 15 years making this garden if I'm not going to sit out and enjoy it basically every evening in the spring and summer that I possibly can. There are more events happening on May 3rd, so for people who couldn't take off work or had school today or whatever, Saturday all over the country, there are more protests. And I haven't seen a national head count yet. I'm seeing things trickle in from various cities. But I would love for somebody to put together a total head count from May 1st plus May 3rd and see how many people showed up across both of those dates. So we'll see if anybody's able to tabulate that. So some of my takeaways from the protest. It was really good to see an event, a rally, and we didn't really march. Some people marched afterward, but that wasn't kind of the focus of this event. And I'm not going to criticize anybody who put it together, but I wish we had. I know it's hard to coordinate a march through downtown at rush hour because that involves stopping traffic and having people direct traffic, and we want to have the goodwill of the community, right? So you don't want to be obstructing traffic. That's not the point of an event like this. So I understand why it was more of a rally in Pioneer Courthouse Square and less marching. But I really appreciated that it was a coordinated event put together by various different organizations. One of the things I've been talking about a lot is how we need to build a broad coalition of people who are really diverse and don't necessarily agree on everything, but we do agree that we cannot have Trump as the dictator of America, that we have no kings in the United States. This is a democracy, and we must restore the rule of law. And so it was really good to see people from multiple unions come out, 5051 and Indivisible working together to host an event that had really good speakers, really motivating speakers who have a long legacy of activism. I thought it was interesting that the majority of the speakers were women. That is sort of a continuing theme that I'm seeing, at least in the Portland metro area, is that the folks who are turning out in the greatest numbers are women, and they tend to be Gen X and boomers. Women with lengthy histories in activism, decades of experience, but by no means were the only people attending, white, older women. I noticed that there were folks from basically every demographic you could think of that showed up to this event. That's saying a lot because Portland is a really white city. But when you're talking about a rally focused on labor and immigration, we're going to draw more of a representative from the working class. And I really appreciated that the rally focused not only on all of the federal workers who are being wrongfully fired, especially I think one of the speakers said it's over 60,000 veterans that have been fired from the federal workforce for no reason other than to put more money into the pockets of Elon Musk. I appreciated the attention that was drawn to immigrant workers, immigrant rights. I was thinking about how Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a union member as one of the folks was talking. We had speakers talking about LGBTQ and trans rights, folks calling for an end to genocide multiple times, lots and lots of talk about solidarity amongst the working class. And I really felt like this event, more than other events I've been to, the speakers and the theme emphasized understanding that this is all of us versus the billionaires, right? It is every working class person against the oligarchs. It's the people against a man who wants to make himself a king in a country where we have no kings. And just that emphasis on solidarity of like, we don't have to agree on everything. We are maybe here for different reasons. There are different ways we are all being harmed by this regime. But we can all agree about who is harming us and how that needs to stop immediately. And absolutely, that's something that we can all rally around. We can all stand arm in arm and hold the line against fascism. And I'm glad to see that that is being talked about more and more. I appreciate that Ezra and Leah from Indivisible talk about it, something I've been saying a lot. We need a broad-based coalition of people that are really diverse and might have pretty strong disagreements on a number of political and social issues. But we can unite around this one thing. We must unite around this one thing because America is a huge nation, hugely diverse nation, but we are a nation of, by, and for the people. And we have to stay that way. We have no kings here. We are a nation that is run by the people. The people are in charge in the U.S. The Trump regime seems to have forgotten that, and the people seem to be awakening, reminding themselves of that truth. So overall, I felt like the event was really positive. I felt very safe. There was a number of police that were hanging out in the margins. They didn't in any way step in or interfere. They were absolutely on the sidelines. Crowd was really engaged. People had all kinds of very witty signage, lots of cheering and applauding. One of the speakers, a teacher that stood up and spoke, called for a general strike, and that got a lot of cheers. Not just from me, but from everybody. I'm definitely planning on going to the event on May 3rd. To me, it just feels like every event I go to, we understand that this regime is trying to institute a reign of terror. They're trying to make us afraid to stand up and exercise our constitutional rights. They're trying to get us to be scared and hide. And the people they're not buying that. To me, I see people's courage building. I see momentum growing. Folks are getting more and more fed up. They're letting that anger build and that anger motivate them to act. And when they step out and act and engage with other people, then they find their hope builds as well. The anger feeds the action feeds the hope then feeds the action some more, and the movement builds. So I was very happy that I went. I was grateful to see so many people turn out on a work day before the end of the day, and knowing that there were multiple other events happening at the same time around the city. I'm planning on attending one of the events on May 3rd. I'm planning on attending one of the events on May 3rd, and I'll let you know how that goes. But I also look forward to spending some time here. I'm going to finish my beer and do a little knitting while I'm out here in the garden. I'm going to thumb through Blue Sky and see what other people are posting about the May Day events they attended around the country. One of the organizers of the event today said that this was shaping up to turn out to be the largest May Day pro-labor protest since the 19th century. I bet she's right. I'm looking forward to that head count. You know, I'm a data-driven person. I love to see the numbers. And I think, honestly, like our elected officials, they need to see the numbers. They need to know how strong the resistance is. They need to know what the mandate from the people is. Okay, I'm going to take some time to myself and knit and chill out a little bit. Thanks to everybody else who turned out around the country today. I hope that May Day was an encouragement to you. I hope that attending events today helps feed that hope in you. And I hope that we are all doing our part to draw more people into the movement, get more folks activated, because it's going to take millions. There already are millions of us, but we need to keep bringing people on board. This is going to take all of us because it's our country. It's our freedoms that are on the line. It's our way of life on the line. I'll see y'all tomorrow.